always a good day, a legendary day, when you wake up a five-time Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean? So today we're going to get into some training camp, and also Jason and I are going to give our thoughts and things to watch for on Saturday. Also, we had an interesting off air. We had an interesting conversation um, about the fourth wide receiver spot, and
Wide open now.
yeah, it's the fifth wide receiver spot. We basically, Jason and I pretty much came to the conclusion that pretty much four receivers are locks. We're going to go ahead and get into that, but first, I have to remind y'all that For the Faithful, by the Faithful pre-launch sale is happening right meow. Go ahead and go to NinerFaithful.com / or NinerFaithfulRadio.com / shop and see all our designs and get your 20% off until August 29th. That'll be the final day of the sale. Also, go through our affiliate link that will be available in the description of this video and podcast at shop49ers.com to get your officially licensed Niner gear from the team store, or at least the online team store. It's the same stuff at the team store. They just got more online. And you can help out the show by doing that, as we do make a small commission off of every purchase. And it doesn't cost you more. You can go to SeatGiant.com, use the promo code NinerFaithfulRadio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets. And go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com / subscribe to see all the places you can subscribe to your favorite podcast. And make sure to follow us on social media at Niner Faithful Radio on Twitter, or Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, and Niner Faithful R on Twitter. Jason does an excellent job running our social media. Apparently, Jason doesn't have the intro video available to him, so y'all just gotta deal with us talking for an hour. What?
Boom, 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 boom,
You are now tuned in. Montana step back to throw. Throwing. It's got touchdown. Anyway. Anyway, there you go. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into what we were talking about off air, Jason? And to me, right now, there are four locks to make it on the roster as far as receivers are concerned. Obviously, you got Brandon Ayuk and Debo. They're locks. And Trent Sherfield and Mohamed Sanu. I mean, to me, I don't really see any other receiver making any noise. Austin Watkins Jr., who I thought would push for a roster spot, I mean,
nothing.
I forget he's on the field sometimes. So
apparently Jalen Hurd is going back off the field again.
Yeah, Shanahan did not seem to. We were talking about that off air as well. Shanahan seemed pissed.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to say he's giving them the full Dante Pettis treatment. You know, it's not the full Dante Pettis treatment yet. But he quite clearly pretty much told Jalen Hurd, hey, you got to show me something to make this roster. You know, this ain't 2019 when you were drafted, and this ain't last year. You know what I'm saying? You got to show me something, and you ain't showed me something. Can't make the club in the tub. And, you know, you and I were talking about how it's torture because, you know, when you look at I don't want to say similar situation as in circumstances, but a similar situation as never know what fully they could be as Aldon Smith. At least we saw him on the field, and we knew what he could be. Jalen Hurd, we haven't seen him on the field, so it's what could he be?
Great or nothing, right? But right now he's just nothing.
Yeah,
he can't stay healthy.
I mean, I dare to say right now Jalen Hurd has proven to us what he is, and what we're hoping for is for him to prove us the outlier. I mean, right now he's a receiver that can't stay healthy, that can't be on the field. Shanahan did not say anything about a setback. He just said he wasn't feeling right, but he didn't know and he was
You said
very
his knee wasn't feeling well or something like was
yeah.
it that?
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, it's you know concerning. It's I dare to say that we could pretty much call it a wash. Um, Now I may be tripping. I don't know if you've heard anything yet, Jason. I haven't listened to or really seen any of the post practice reports besides the press conferences. But I think D4 took place in 11 on 11 today.
Yeah, I heard he was
And
going.
if that's indeed the case, yeah, okay then, because I was tripping because I saw him participating, and I was at practice today. For those who haven't watched the training camp report, shame on you. Go watch it after you're done watching Iron Faithful Radio. But um, I noticed him at practice today, and so I was specifically looking when they're in the 11-11 portion for him on the sideline. Because I was looking, I didn't see him working with Bosa. Bosa was off on the side doing drills and doing his and Bosing, which by the way, we're coming up. Do not steal my design. We're coming up with a Bosing design. I'm just trying to think of the definition, just like we did with the Kittled.
It's got to be that one close.
But I think that I saw him in 1-on-1, so I figured if he ain't on the sideline and he ain't in drill, and I saw him at practice, he must be doing 11 on 11 work. That's amazing. Because even if I could get 10 snaps a game from D Ford, I'll take that all day, every day, and twice on Sundays.
If Jalen Hurd is the sacrifice to get a healthy D Ford back, I'm all good with that one. No offense to
okay.
Jalen Hurd. Oh, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Okay.
I was saying that if you're telling me that Jalen Hurd is the sacrifice to get a healthy D Ford back, I'll make that trade every day. Sorry, buddy, but I'd rather have D Ford. Much rather have D Ford.
Yeah, because at least you could say with D Ford, we've seen what he could be on the field. We don't know what Jalen Hurd could say or what Jalen Hurd could be. I know what D Ford could be. A healthy D Ford could be for this defense. And I think that while we have – look, I feel that you and I are both upbeat about the defense. The defense looks good.
Yeah.
There was a focus on today in practice. They did a move the ball period, and they did a lot of red. They had a scenario. It was like 8 seconds left on the clock. Then they had a 2-minute drill. But there was a lot of focused on basically goal line situations.
Good.
And the defense. I want to say there was a couple touchdowns. I think Jimmy did a couple. And Sutfield did a couple. But the defense, I would say the number one defense held up pretty well. And so I'm confident in what this defense could be. But if you tell me that we can get a healthy D Ford for ultimately really what we need him for, which is crunch time, I don't – and you tell me that the depth of our interior, our D tackles – can be what you think it is, which was better than 2019. Then I don't see why any reason why we can't be better than 2019. If you're saying our depth is deeper, which I agree with, the depth is deeper. We can obviously get in the argument of we're default, we're not. That'll be for week 7.
Though.
But I think that if we could get D Ford, I think the concern of the edge rusher and the depth of the edge rusher becomes less, especially when you consider you have the possibility of Jordan Willis coming back after 6 weeks. You and I, when we broke down the running back position earlier in the offseason, you and I had discussed that Jeff Wilson's injury was a blessing on when it happened, because I'll take Jeff Wilson after the bye week. A fresh Jeff Wilson after the bye week.
Because we could run everybody else extremely hard, and just say he takes the Trey Sermon, who's going to get where we think is going to end up getting most of the carries. Just switch
was,
that out, and we're good to go.
Yeah, he was getting run with the ones. Trey Sermon, I want to say Trey Sermon was the one that getting the most of the snaps with the ones today.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people reporting that every day he seems to be getting more work with the ones overall.
I haven't been able to find the audio, but apparently the beat reporters were able to talk to all the position coaches yesterday, and Bobby Turner was raving about Trey Sermon and was, giving him glowing report. And so
the future looks bright at
running back. You could say, yes, and if you could say, and what also it does with a healthy D Ford is, like I said, fine, we got Ebukam. We got Sampson. We all want to talk to Sampson. So really, we don't need that much pressure on D Ford. It's like I don't need D Ford to be the man like he was in 2019. D Ford was the man. He was essentially the key that unlocked the Niners D, our D line, and made it into what it was. I don't need him to be that. I just need to be the piece of the puzzle. And so, ultimately, I think what the 2019 D line was, obviously, we had depth then too, but it was a 4. It was the turbo package. It was Bosa, Ford, Armstead, and Defoe. Now I think that the 20, if you could give us a healthy D Ford, Sampson can be what we think he could be, a solid role player. It's the sum of your parts, and I like the sum of my parts. I'd rather have a D line that you could say, hey, maybe is a little less talented in the starting 4, and your turbo package ain't going to be, but they go nonstop, and I'm going to give you better depth. Then I'd rather have the better depth. I'd rather have the better depth all day, every day. And now also what I think is a positive and a trickle-down effect is now that the secondary ain't so much of a worry. Because I said earlier the training camp report.
Been balling apparently since he got back.
Well, fresh legs will do that to you.
But I'm saying, everybody's saying how good he looks right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy. I said earlier on the training camp report, I think our starters are legit in the secondary. Yeah. We could go ahead and get into Jaquiski Tartt if you would like, but yeah, that's a concern. Obviously, Jaquiski is our best strong safety, but Wilson's look fine.
Again, depth seems to be the magical word.
Now I know Shanahan said that they might, and I know they brought in the corner and a D line, Cahoon.
Yep. Well, we signed another one today.
Was a D lineman? I forget the cornerback's name.
We signed another one. We brought in and we cut Williams off the
Cahoon.
The Cahoon, yeah. Another former Raider.
So I would say no earth-shattering moves. Nothing that I would say was earth-shattering.
Depth.
So I feel that's probably, if you would ask me what's the most glowing thing that you could say about camp, that would be it. What would be, the healthy return of D Ford. My biggest surprise of camp is Sherfield. I knew that he was a special team ace, but I was feeling like, okay, that's fine and cool, but wasn't really sure that was a guarantee to give him a space, especially if Richie James, which we'll get to when we get a stock down, we'll get to him. But I wasn't confident. Now he's my biggest surprise because I'm like, you know what? I'm not saying, oh my God, we're set at receiver, but for what he is, which would be a fourth receiver, a role player, I'm okay with that. Fourth, fifth receiver, somewhere that's going to maybe only get a handful of snaps a game. But today he caught it was a beautiful route, beautiful throw by Trey Lance, right over the shoulder. And I'm like, I don't see any reason. Now, I didn't see who the DB was. So, it could have been Mark Fields, you know. Um,
Maybe that's why he
but
got cut.
maybe, but I can't see, I can't see why that is not happening in the game, and why we can't hit on that once or twice, maybe 3 times during the season. You know, I just don't see an untapped potential, and maybe he was just buried behind a pretty solid receiver room in Arizona. You got what, Fitzgerald, you've got um,
Hopkins.
Hopkins, you've got what's
Well,
their the Christian something.
Chris- uh,
Um,
crap, I know you're talking about.
but yeah, him.
Christian
So
Kirk.
maybe he was just Christian Kirk. There you go. So that's a pretty solid receiver room, you know, and so
I really
maybe he
wouldn't
was
say he's
just buried.
behind Fitzgerald at this point, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're gonna have. It's the same reason why. Look, you would say the final 2 years of Jerry's career. Could you say the Niners could have gone with T.O. and J.J. Stokes as our starting receivers and been all right?
Yeah.
And maybe I wouldn't want to say I wouldn't. I'll say it like this, because the Niners have gone with T.O. and J.J. Stokes, and just gave the less production you're going to get from J.J. Stokes would just go to T.O. and the Niners would have been fine. Yeah, but are you going to bench Jerry Rice? Are you going to be the one that tell Jerry that you're coming off the bench? I mean, come on. So you want to go to Larry Fitzgerald, who, let's be real, probably Arizona's best player? If you think of players who,
All time?
yeah, all time.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, I would dare say, like, especially when you're thinking about, career long. Now, obviously, I know he's not on the team now, but when you're thinking career long, that type of level, yeah, it's gotta be Larry Fitzgerald. Sorry, y'all, I'm going by some construction right now.
There's no doubt with Fitzgerald is
So
their greatest player of all time. It's not. There's nobody else
yeah,
in the conversation.
at least not offensively.
Who would it be
So
on defense? Nobody.
Why did I forget their corner's name right now? Paxton Peterson.
No, not even close to what Fitzgerald is worth to that franchise.
No. I'm not talking about as comparable to Fitz. No, I'm just saying if you looked at like close your eyes. Who's the greatest Niner defender of all time? Ronnie Lott. Right? I think nobody would argue that.
It'd be a hard argue if you want to say Bryant Young.
Bryant Young. You could say Leo Namalini, Dave Wilcox.
I think probably 75% would say Lott without a question.
Well, yeah, and I think let's be real. When you're talking about the greatest players in our franchise, a lot of times what it's going to come down to, you're talking about a man who has 4 rings. Yeah. So, I understand that, Joe always gets the glory and everything like that, but
quarterback position.
To me, I tell people all the time, you can't say, oh, we got 5 rings. Oh, any day that you wake up a 5-time champion, a legend. We can't say those things and then not give homage to a man that got us 4 of the 5, in my opinion, the first 4. So, but yeah, but I mean, if you asked any coach, would you take Joe Montana or Jerry Rice over Ronnie Lott? I mean, the answer is going to be 100 times out of 100, yes. You're taking Jerry Rice or you're taking Joe Montana. You could argue which one you would take, maybe, but you're going to take Joe or Jerry over Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. Anyway,
like, how did we get to this?
Tangent over. Yeah, I was about to say tangent over. Hey, look, it's still preseason for us too. Getting into a little bit of what we're expecting to see Saturday. I'm just going to get it out of the way because I know this is probably going to be the most unpopular opinion that I have, and trust me, I've had a lot. Um, I expect to win. And I know ultimately, no, the number one goal is to stay healthy in the preseason. But anybody who watches this show knows how big I am on the mental aspect of the game. And, Jerry Rice talked about training. We all know legendary training regiment. Nobody was ever going to probably never will outwork Jerry Rice. But he said that he used to train his body to think when these hands touch the football, these feet touch the end zone. And you're also talking about the man who has more touchdowns than anybody in NFL history. So, speaking of another legend, we were just talking about Ronnie Lott. Do you think that Ronnie Lott, when he hit the field for a preseason game, was not thinking about winning? I promise you, when Ronnie Lott will step between those white lines, the only thought on his mind was getting a victory. There was no, I want to get out of here healthy. There was none of that. And Ronnie Lott was going to expect that out of every single one of his teammates. And I think that's a big reason why, one of the big reasons why that man has 4 championships. And so Bill Walsh's quote, we've seen it all over the place, all over Facebook all the time, all over Twitter. Champions behave like champions before they're champions. And I think that a lot of times sports are one. I remember there was this, I want to say it was, the people who do the war dance in rugby.
Well, there's the New Zealanders, the Samoans,
I think it was New Zealand.
You're talking about the team that does it that got popular?
Yeah.
The New Blacks off of New Zealand.
Okay.
Well, it was. Sorry, not New Blacks.
It was before like some playoff game or something like that, and they do the little war dance and everything like that, right? You could tell they just were in it. Oaxaca, there you go. I knew that there was a word for it. I just couldn't think about it. And you could look on the face of the team that they were playing, and you knew that game was over. You just knew it. They just didn't stand a chance. You could just look in their eyes and see that they didn't have it. They weren't about that life. And that used to happen with the Niners all the time. It gets you a target on your back. When you're the Niners of the 80s and the 90s and you step on the field, I mean, players know. You know what I'm saying? But also at the end of the day, you can't tell me that the Niners never won a ball game by walking on the field, and having some receiver, line up and look over the middle of the field and see Ronnie Lott. So we need to get that swag. Well, last year was last year. I think that there's a lot of a pass last year. There's a pass because of the injuries, but it's time to go prove it. We all talk about Super Bowl, but all these things and everything like that, and we have a right to have this swag. And last year was a fluke because of the injuries. Well, now it's time to go prove it on the football field. And so, I don't think that the Lions won't be watching tape from the preseason, and they won't see Javon Kinlaw wrecking havoc or whatever. Jason, something that you're the preseason. I know I went kind of long there.
You cut out, so I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, no, I was saying something you're looking forward to in the preseason.
I want to see what kind of rotation that we get out of the not the linebackers, the running backs. Because, we've got a bunch that we're trying to work in. You're not necessarily going to run your top couple of backs as hard as you usually would. But we've got to find out, who's going to be that third and fourth running back. With limited carries, especially in the top end, who's going to get those carries? How do you decide that with limited action? I think a lot of that's not actually going to come out to the preseason games. I think a lot of it's going to be decided in the Chargers practices.
I would dare say 90. I would dare say a good 75% of coaches' decisions unless it's obvious. I'm not talking about your Bosa's and players like that, but I'm talking about your, let's just say, Aziz Al Shair versus Demetrius Fennigan Falls, well, for example. Not saying that those players are in competition, but I'm
I
just
was like,
using
is that
those two
even a
players as an
question?
example. Um, well, I'm going with Aziz, but what I'm saying is I believe that 75% to 80% of the decision on who's going to get that roster spot is going to come down to the Chargers practice.
Yeah,
You know, I really
joint
believe
practices
that
are going to be huge. If
they're going to be
Jalen Hurts wants
huge.
that spot, he needs to show up in those practices.
We're starting to
That's
get
where
on such a crazy wavelength, bruh. Because I was thinking that exact same thing. Is if I'm Jalen Hurd, I'm having the week of my life next week.
the games are nice, but those are all pre-scripted. We all know what's going to happen. It's just nice to see everybody in uniforms. But those joint practices are where it's going to be at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that coaches will always tell you. I think if you're a coach, Shanahan always said that, I want to say this was 2018, he answered this. He said, ideally, you want 2 preseason games, one to evaluate your roster and one to prepare your team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would think that if coaches could have it their way, you would probably have a week or 2 of camp, and then pretty much everything would be like it is going to be next week. And I mean, I think that maybe you might find majority or some coaches at least that would say, hey, I'd rather just have scrimmages. Screw preseason, just give me nothing but scrimmages.
Yeah,
you know,
I would love to
you
see
get 2 weeks
back-to-back joint weeks of joint practices. Like, what if we went up against the Chiefs this week, the Chargers next week? That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And you'd get more done, I think.
No, you just do it every week. So you would have, let's just say, like, it would be like it is. You would have the first 2 weeks. You could call it the app. That would be obviously your install. And obviously maybe you would want to, get your players, to work your techniques and things like that. And then you would just, honestly, I don't know why the NFL doesn't do that. I mean, obviously that's a lot of traveling, and you got to figure out, who would travel, who would come here. But even now, especially in a I shouldn't say post-pandemic, but in a pandemic world, I could see preseason being pretty much just this. This is probably without playing division opponents. I just don't see a time period where you're going to see division opponents play each other in the preseason. So, this is about as local as you can get. So I think it'd be very easy you could say Vegas, San Diego, and let's say Denver. I believe.
Oh, looks like we lost TJ. I think he was going to say Denver. Might agree with Denver. You can also throw Las Vegas in there. Obviously, I think the only team that would have an issue with something like that, where everybody would be going up because being so far away, would be like Seattle, because Seattle's typically they're one of the most traveled teams in the league just because of where they're at. So, but I know in my high school we did like a jamboree thing where everybody got together. Basically, one half of the field was just like the linemen would go down and do like trench warfare type stuff where they do that, and basically the backs would just do like 7-on-7 drills and stuff like that. Welcome back, TJ.
All right, hold on. We're getting into better reception. Right now. I promise y'all. Industrial area of San Jose. Okay, I think we're good. But no, like I was saying, I don't understand why the NFL doesn't do it that way. To me, that would be ideal, and I think you would get the most work, and it would be easier to evaluate.
Did you guys ever do a jamboree down there for high school football?
I don't believe so. I remember you telling me about it before.
Yeah, basically, like you put the linemen from like 3 or 4 different teams on one end of the field, and you basically ran your typical lineman drills, but against other teams. And then the skill position players went and did like 7-on-7 drills, and you just rotated teams throughout one night of 3-4 hours. Basically, it was, and you have everybody show up. I'd watch that on pay. Could you imagine that on pay-per-view?
Grant Cohn on his show was talking about the NFL, the lack of monetization the NFL has in their offseason. And I mean, look, as a poor man, I can barely afford the things that I do. But, I think that I think it'd be almost better to do a practice or something like that, than a preseason game. I mean, fine, I guess you could argue how much would somebody pay for a practice versus, a preseason. Yeah, I understand that you might get in some arguments about that. But I think I'd rather watch full padded practice because I agree with you, because you're going to get one-on-ones and you're going to get things where, it's, for example, how many snaps are you on next Sunday? How many snaps are you going to get? Sorry. Oh, wait, shit. Okay, there we go. How many snaps are you going to get of Trent Williams versus Joey Bosa? I mean, I wouldn't think that many. You're going to get more in a practice, I would think.
That would be good pay-per-view.
And so
I was talking with somebody else. Like, wouldn't you want to watch the practices? The most watched thing for the Niners. I want to see Trent Williams and Bosa go at it. The hell with everybody else. I just want to see.
Yeah, I mean,
go at it.
And look, I understand the paranoia of coach. Like, as somebody who goes to the practices, there's a point pretty much during 11-on-11s where, and at a certain point where they don't let you take pictures or record during practice. Yeah. Obviously probably because they're practicing plays and just, secret agent type shit. But, I mean, you can still do that. So let's just say your NFL practice is 2 hours long, for example. It's about 2 hours. The Niners practice goes from about 10:15 to about 12:15. So it's about 2 hours. So let's say you do an hour of practice taped, and fine, you could, it'd be made for TV, whatever, you could highlight certain position groups. Mm-hmm. But, I'd rather see a practice knowing that I'm going to get more reps of Trent Williams versus Joey Bosa, or, Patrick Mahomes versus our secondary, or versus our receivers, I should say.
You could build it up. Say like next Saturday, like last Saturday when they had the practice for Dwight Clark Day. Why wouldn't they
Stadium
build it?
Yeah.
Build it up, but have the end of practice be and at the end of practice we're gonna have 5 plays: Trent Williams versus Nick Bosa. Put your money on who's gonna win the most. Best 5. Out of 5, who's gonna win? You could still take us to that practice.
Yeah. I put it to you this way: at least as many as you will to. Look, I don't think you're not gonna be able to sell as many tickets as you would for a preseason game, per se. I think that Dwight Clark I think they said something like between 15 and 19,000 showed up for practice. I think that's somewhat because of the fact that, a lot of people hadn't seen football. And let's be real, that's I mean, obviously not for everybody. I'm going to Saturday's game, but for a lot of people, that's the closest they're going to see the Niners in the preseason. And especially, people who are used to going, they hadn't gone. I mean, I think they said 566 days, between the NFC Championship game and Saturday. So you're not going to get that. I guarantee you if 2020 had been normal, you're not going to get, 15,000. He'd have probably got 10, 11, but not 15. And so I believe it's about 2,000 to 3,000 that they hold at practice.
That guy was cool.
So you figure, yeah, you could sell about 3 to, I'd say you could sell about 10,000 tickets. You know, hey, come out to the joint practices.
Yep.
You know, next, you know, it's, as a fan, I'd rather see that.
And like,
because
if they did Joey Bosa versus Trent Williams, could you imagine trying to hype your man up to win those one-on-ones? And then you put the camera on Nick Bosa. Who does Nick cheer for? Does he go with family or does he go for Trent Williams? You know what I mean? It's like, this is WWE storyline stuff you could write easily, and people would pay for it.
I mean, I'd do it. Why not?
I'd throw $50 down on that.
It's, or I mean, even if, what if I know we're going way off the topic, but sue us, whatever, you know. But what if Pro Bowl, you just had training camp style one-on-ones?
Please, because anything.
So, for example,
Pro Bowl.
So, for example, you're literally theoretically seeing the best receivers in the AFC versus and maybe you would exclude divisions and, you know, maybe conference, and you just do best receivers, best corners, you know, regardless of conference. Mm-hmm. But in theory, you're getting the best corners versus. So let's just say Brandon Ayuk happens to make the Pro Bowl this year. Hopefully he won't be playing in it. But I'd rather see him versus, let's say, Jalen Ramsey. Now, obviously, you're going to see that because they're in our division. But you know, I'd rather see Trent Williams go against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, and, you know, in a one-on-one style thing versus, bro, literally the last time I even paid attention to any little bit about the Pro Bowl was the day my daughter was born. Well, I guess technically the day before she was born. Literally, when my baby mama went into, you know, pretty much went into labor, I had just turned on the Pro Bowl because I was bored, and I was like, might as well do something.
Because I was bored. That's what the Pro Bowl is good for. Yeah.
I mean, she looked at me. She said, I'm going to take a nap. When I wake up, you know, you can go ahead and take me home. And so I was like, well, got to do something while she's taking a nap.
Look, I've been
to literally, I think I got like 5 minutes in.
Like, I've gone to Pro Bowls. Besides trying to get autographs, it ain't what it's worth. Because, you know, there's before and after you can try and get autographs. But the actual game itself is stupid. Nobody pays attention. Everybody's too busy drinking.
I mean, like, if somebody offered me right now, like if the NFL had a contest that said, hey, you know, you and a guest can go to the Pro Bowl. Hey, what's up, Rich? How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Thought you were going to hide until week 7, bro, after what y'all been going through. I already told Jason I have no sympathy for any teams after what we went through last year. But appreciate you stopping by. But if the NFL had a contest and I won it, you know, to go to Hawaii, would I go? Yeah. I mean, when else am I going to go to the Pro Bowl for free?
Yeah, I mean, you'd still go.
You know, when would I get a trip? I would go as a. When the hell am I going to get a free trip to Hawaii?
Exactly.
I can say I've been to a Pro Bowl. I can say that I've been to a Pro Bowl. And, you know, it's a unique opportunity as somebody who does. I mean, yeah, we always say it's a Niner podcast, but a Niner football podcast. Yeah, it'd be dope to have an opportunity to possibly go cover some Niners in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're in Hawaii. Maybe they'll be in a good mood and holler at your boy and give me an interview. You know, I would go just like the draft. Like, would I go to the draft every year? Probably not. Like,
I would.
non-Niner Faithful Radio? Probably not. Like, Niner Faithful Radio, I would, because it's a draft. I'm gonna cover it. But personally, no, I wouldn't.
Draft a Pro Bowl.
I'd go once. To say, oh, I've been to the draft before.
Draft a Pro Bowl.
To have the experience, but.
Would you rather go to the draft or the Pro Bowl?
But if money wasn't an object every year, would I go to Hawaii to go watch the best, basically some Niners versus some of the best competition? Yeah. If it's at, a time that's convenient, if money's not an object, yeah. Why not? I'd rather do that than go to the Pro Bowl. So, which to me, I think I think eventually we'll see the end of it. I think it'll just be, at the end of the year, you'll say so-and-so made the Pro Bowl. It'll be the end of it. I think that's going to eventually be how it ends. But let me see. Anything else?
And TJ seems to be lost again. So, with the Pro Bowl, Hard Knocks starts tonight. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I don't know if I may have to watch it tomorrow because it comes on right about time when I'm supposed to get to bed, and I got to get to work pretty early tomorrow. So we'll see. But I am looking forward to seeing what's going on with Hard Knocks. Obviously, I do not like the Cowboys, obviously, but I like, it's always good to take a look in to see what's going on with other teams because, like me and TJ had talked about, actual watching a practice over watching something like the Pro Bowl is so much better just because, and we realize that a lot of it is going to be scripted for Hard Knocks tonight, but at the same time, it's another outlet for us to watch football on. So us football heads just have something else. Welcome back, brother.
Yeah, I'm still a little robot-y. We're going to hold on for 2 seconds because I'm going to jaywalk right now. Kids, don't do as I do. Do as I say.
Ladies and gentlemen,
not as I do.
This is how Jason takes over NFR because TJ was jaywalking.
What was that?
I was like, and this, kids, is how Jason takes over NFR because TJ was dumb, jaywalked, and got hit by a car and died.
Yeah. It's the end of NFR. Yeah. You saw it live stream. Okay, so
I think
I thought that this was kind of cool. Yeah, probably. We'd be viral for a little bit, though.
It would be.
Okay, so for anybody who knows the story, back in the day, there was a lady who apparently found a finger in her chili. It was fake. She didn't. But this is the Wendy's that it happened at. A little random San Ho fact.
Facts that you find out.
So,
Niner Faithful Radio.
Exactly.
This
totally useless.
This fact brought to you by.
Exactly. This fact brought to you by Wendy's. Promise we didn't have a finger in our chili. But no, the lady really got some time over it. Oh, she got some cool amount of time.
That's some serious.
But anyway, yeah, and you want to know really ultimately what it was the fact that, man, this wouldn't surprise me if it's pretty close to 20 years ago. Honestly, I know that 20 years seems like a nice number just to throw out, but it's been a while. Like I was probably in high school or shortly after high school. And so, but here we are still, that's forever known as a finger in the chili Wendy's. And that's why she did hella time, because I promise you that will always be known as the finger in the, or even if it one day when it's not a Wendy's anymore, it'll be like, oh yeah, that used to be the Wendy's that the lady said she found the finger in the chili. It's
Well, it's
just
just like my gym right
kind
now.
of
My gym is an old
mhm.
supermarket. So every time right where the free weight benches are, I'm like, oh yeah, this used to be where the meat section is, and now I'm doing bench presses in the meat section.
Yeah, I gotta hit the gym soon myself. I've been slacking. Starting to get a little
uh,
tubba wubba. Um,
I've been good, man.
but the ladies still think I'm sexy.
I don't have
It's
that
just like
problem.
honestly, you know, uh, I don't either. But anyway, um, it's funny. I've always said the problem to me is when I get to the gym, I'm pretty good about having uh, getting shit done mentality. I'm very good at. I'm the type of person that when I get into something, it's time to handle business. I don't like to bullshit. I'm at the gym. It's time for me to pump my iron. Let's get it on. Um, the problem for me has always been going to the gym. Once I'm at the gym, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get my workout.
because
It's it's
you're
it's
busy making
it's
excuses why
always
you don't want to
the
go.
well, yeah. Basically, that's what it is. I mean, yeah. There's always a legit reason. Like I tell people, people always ask me, "Hey T, are you busy?" I'm always busy. There's always a podcast to listen to. There's always an article to read. There's always a T-shirt to design. There's always something for me to do. So the problem is it's very easy for me to say, okay, should I get these T-shirts done or go spend an hour at the gym? Yeah, probably should go to the gym, but going to the gym ain't gonna make me money. Going to the gym ain't gonna help me sell T-shirts.
Yep.
So it's very easy for me to do stuff like that. You have to, I guess you could say that's a lack of discipline to say, hey, look, no matter what, we're gonna, go to
But
the
let me
gym.
ask
I'm
you
a
this
firm
though:
believer of you make what,
when you get done, you feel good about it though.
shoot. Oh yeah, yeah. After you're done with your workout, you feel, it's almost.
It's the
I
endorphins running
remember
through you.
there's no feeling like, when you go to the mirror that first time and you take your picture in your tank top or your beater or whatever you work out in, and you see that picture and you do the before the after and you see that difference.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than that. And so it's something that I will get into, but you got to have mental discipline for it.
And he's gone again. So looks like it's back to just me. So moving back to Saturday's preseason game, yeah, it looks we're not going to see a whole lot of the starters. Maybe a series or two, depending on how it. Like say they go out there and there's a fumble or an interception with the starters, they might go out for a second series just to get some of that timing and continuity down. But for the most part, no. Like I said, I don't see them. They're probably actually going to be on a what do you call it? A play count, 10, 15 plays max, get them out. It's going to be probably a lot of Trey this week because next week is probably going to be more when Jimmy plays, depending on what's going to go on with who is the starter per se. But this week is probably going to be a lot of Trey because we're going to want to see him. Maybe even leave in some of the ones and then push Trey in. Um, Other than that, it's like I said, quick and easy for most of the starters. They're going to get in and get out, and then a lot of second team and third team rotations for going out to try and figure out what the roster is going to look like. Because next week will be the week where we see a lot more of the starters.
All right.
Welcome back.
Okay. So I guess I'm still a little fuzzy, but
Well, actually,
I
you're
just
completely
basically
black.
wanted to sum up to.
Screen's black, so
Okay.
but we
Hold
can hear you
on.
fine. No,
Hold
no,
on. We're we're
we can
we're
hear you
getting
real
there.
good. Just keep talking. Just think it's a podcast. Because you're coming in good, so just keep talking. TJ.
Oh man.
Did you almost die? I'm not sure what TJ is going on besides the fact that he seems to be dodging vehicles in the middle of the street. You there? That's terrifying. Yeah, so for right now, yeah, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and move on until he decides to do whatever. I was joking about being hit, but I heard those wheels screeching, so now I've got to be worried. But so yeah, like I said, a lot of that. Maybe see some of that third quarterback with who's going to take it. It's going to be Rosen or Sudfeld, because that's going to be another one. Is we brought Sudfeld over, and we still have Rosen that we both both of them are signed. I still give the. It's weird because with Sudfeld, we brought him over deliberately with the Eagles, but at the same time, I like the idea of maybe Shanahan finding something with Rosen that we didn't know was there. Because like I said, he was I think he was the top 10 pick in the same draft with Kyler Murray. So, and Nick Bosa. Is there something there that we can actually work with? Trade him away for, even the third or fourth in a couple of years or so. So let him sit there. So that's where that sits. Then the week after that, we will jump into the Chargers joint practices. And that's where, like I said, I wish the NFL would sell tickets to that, because that's when things get fun. You get tired of beating up on your boys every week and this and that. You start, you finally have someone you don't like to beat up on. And we're going to see a lot of fights across the NFL in general every week, next week, because that's when the joint practices will start showing up. They're going to be frustrated because you don't want to fight your teammates per se, but you can sure as hell fight different teams and stuff like that. So a lot of that emotion will come out and be shown next week. So that's where that is. And then the week after that, we have the Raiders, which kind of loses a little bit of its flair with being the battle for the Bay anymore, because they're not in the Bay, but they're still the Raiders, and people don't like the Raiders, and it's still fun to beat up on them. And they do not look good. That game would have been a little bit more interesting with some of the things that Arden Key has been talking about, how he doesn't like the Raiders right now. He's basically said, fuck them. Just paraphrasing what he said. He's not happy with the Raiders right now. And so if it was a regular season game, that's when you turn Arden Key loose and Harris loose. Just let these guys go at it from the D-line perspective and let them just do the thing. And then, then we're back into week one. So like I said, it's coming up quick. Today's the 10th. The last preseason game is on the 29th. So we're about a month away. It's going to start cranking out here really quick now. And next thing you know, bam, we're into it. Don't forget that the Niners are playing Saturday night, 5 p.m. More than likely, I will be on. I will be doing the sidecast, and then I'm probably going to hop off Twitch to jump on to do the halftime show. And then I will probably jump back on Twitch to do the second half of the show. We'll see. I haven't quite figured out, but more than likely I'll post stuff on there. So that's where everything sits right now. So since I don't know what's going on with TJ right now, and we're about at the time, I'm just going to go ahead and cop it off. So don't forget, everybody, over at NinerFaithfulRadio.com, we are having our pre-sale. The actual sale starts over at the first part of next month for all of our items. There's also a link in there that you can use to buy stuff off the NFL shop. We get a nice percentage cut back to us for that. So if you could please use that. It costs you no more. It's just an affiliate link that we have. And also, when it comes to the Twitch, I'm on today and then me and TJ were on today. And then we got shows leading all the way up until Saturday. And so make sure you hit that like, that sub and follow button. And is TJ trying to get back in? I don't know. It popped back up and then popped off. So, hit that Twitch button. You link your Amazon Prime Gaming to your Twitch account, and you get one free sub a month. And as usual, we would appreciate that if you use that on us. Or, there's also the regular way where you can just pay for it. I think there's a special right now. They just dropped the prices from $5.99. They're down to $3.99, I believe. Don't quite quote me on that for their new subs. But, yeah, definitely go do that. And then we will see you next time. All right? Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Actually, hold on. We're actually going to raid somebody. Let's see who's on right now. Part of the Twitch stuff is that we need to raid people. So let's find out who is on right now that we are going to raid. Let's see. We are going to raid. Oh, where'd it go? Come on, come back. This computer's being slow. Why are we doing this? Give me just a second. Let me find out. I thought I was on my channel. I'm not. I'm on the Niner Faithful one, and we don't follow everybody like we should be on that. So I'm going to be looking on here through my Discord to see who's on. So let's see who we can raid real quick. In fact, why don't I just look for Twitch Sports? Oh, there we go. Let's see who's on here that I know of. Let's see who we got. Anybody from the program? Give me just a second here, folks. Who's good? Anybody who's a Niner? Any of that kind of stuff? Do we have anybody with that? Not seeing anybody who's a 49ers fan. Let's go through. Come on, Discord, load up. Well, there's nobody live that's Niners related. A little surprising. Usually there's somebody live. Browse again. There's nobody. So we're going to have to wait for this to load real quick. All right, let's go into the Discord. I'm just going to go Bongo Jones. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is who we are rating. We are rating Bongo Jones. Where is the rate? Oh, there it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we're going to be switching over. Actually, Wildcard Sports just showed up. He's a fellow Niner faithful, so we are actually going to rate him. All right, thanks a lot for showing up, everybody. Y'all have a good day.
Like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 games starting at 5. That gives us a solid chance of hitting the record tonight. I think we will. I think we'll break it tonight. All these games going at once. Appreciate everyone else that's jumping in here on the chat. Feel free to say what's up in the chat. Or if you have a favorite baseball team playing tonight, let me know who it is. My team is the Giants, obviously, and I don't play till later, so I won't be live by the time that starts. I wanted to get on here a little earlier before the 4 o'clock games start and get my predictions on the games and my bets. I was saying your bet is over 21.5.